Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be discussing altcoins, right? Some people believe it is over. Some people believe there won't be an altcoin season. Some people believe, if there will be an altcoin season, it won't be as big as everyone initially thought. Today we are going to be going over that, right? Looking at high probability plays and just, seeing what the market structure is telling us, looking at price action, looking at where we can go in terms of market cap for altcoins, right? As you can see, we are on crypto total market cap, excluding the top 10. So no Bitcoin or Ethereum, no other big boys. So we could see, uh, generally speaking, right? Obviously, the last 3 months haven't been so nice to us. But something I want to discuss before we dive into the details is that we can see last cycle, when we start to expand, right? We just had a couple of months it being clean, right? We peaked pretty much, April, May time, things dumped, and then we got a second peak at roughly, October, November time in terms of altcoins, right? So, with that being said, the reason why I'm talking about this is because nothing's really the same, right? Even the market structure, even everything. First off, we haven't even broken past new highs, okay? We have not broke past new highs. Last time around, we broke past new highs, and then you can see it was very, very green and solid for a couple of months before obviously it crashed for those couple of weeks. Before then, it had the final pump, and then after, of course, everything died, right? We can see this time around, we had a nice rally in pretty much March, April time. We peaked of 2024, retesting off of these areas, bouncing back, right? Normal. We talk about how markets are like a game of ping pong, they ping and pong all the time. Then we pretty much went back down to retest these areas where pretty much this was the bear season and accumulation, pretty much the best time to be getting altcoins for discount, even though most people don't buy them during that time. And then what we believe personally on the channel was that, okay, we respected this area. We were going to look to retest these highs once again and, have a possible small pullback, roughly to 350 billion market cap, or maximum of 300 billion, kind of creating a staircase formation, right? Going up like this, then eventually something like this and this, right? Instead, we did pull back further than expected. Things are getting a little bit more delayed. Now, I will say, ever since ETFs came in, Bitcoin, it got to its all-time highs much quicker than expected. So we know the timings were already off. Um, the timings were already off. Some people are also saying that, during 2020, COVID, everyone, governments were printing money. Everyone was getting what, 2,000 a month or something like that. I don't know how it was for each country, but, the government was pretty much printing out a lot of money and people were investing. And that's why we had a great altcoin season. And I mean, like, that could be part of the reason, but I think it goes much deeper than that. So we will be discussing that also. Listen, right now, obviously, altcoins are down. They are fairly cheap. I do believe there is going to be at least one more rally. I think worst case scenario, we are going to come back to pretty much somewhere near these tops, either this one over here or here. And worst case scenario, we just kind of flop like this and then sell off. The reason why I say this is because, ladies and gentlemen, I still believe there's going to be an altcoin season. I just think right now things are getting delayed because of the whole Bitcoin crash. I'm not really too worried because even though Bitcoin crashed a lot, altcoins didn't crash too heavy compared to Bitcoin. Um, and here's the thing though, right? Historically, there has always been a crash every certain amount of years. And if we were supposed to go by the previous data that has been fairly accurate, we should be expecting a crash mid 2026, and that includes real estate and other stuff. So, with that being said, time is kind of limited, right? We have like maximum really pushing it. Already pushing a maximum is like 10 to 12 months of price action before we should reach a top, which is why I think, there's a chance that we don't create the highs we want to, right? We talked about how we should, we thought we could be possibly going to 800 or trillion in market cap for alts before they crash. And even though that's still very, very possible, because we still have at least, I would say, 9 months of price action um, before we completely, you know, turn to the bear season. Um, we do have to look at other options in case everyone is wrong, and just in case there won't be a super cycle this time, and maybe there will be one in a couple of years, right? So one thing I did want to say is last time we had a correction from these tops to pretty much the bottom before it started to accumulate was at roughly 150 days. It was 147 days, right? We see that. So we go from the date range from here to the bottom, we can see 147 days. Now, pretty much from the last top, which was somewhere here, to now, it has been 84 days. So we are roughly what, 50, 60 days, less, 50, 60 days less in terms of a correction, which is what I like to see. I do believe the markets are speeding up, generally speaking, even for trading. When I trade gold or other pairs, everything gets corrected much quicker. Everything's so much more volatile, which is why I'm still not super worried about altcoin season not happening. Okay. The maximum I think we should be going downwards and possibly even sideways is sometime pretty much maximum in March, which would be roughly 120 days, which would be 30 days quicker than it just going straight down. Plus, you got to remember we were going sideways for many months. So we pretty much had a correction for roughly 230 days, 240 days, that range, right? And I don't think that is going to happen this time. I generally don't believe that. I believe we will be selling off and correcting up until March maximum. We do have news that's coming out, right, with rate cuts in March also. So if those get cut, that will be very beneficial for us, as historically, every time there has been rate cuts and they did get cut, the crypto markets always benefited from it. Okay. So the reason why I say March is because quarterly, the quarterly 3 month chart, right? We can see that includes January, February, March. So if this is going to be bearish, I believe, maximum will be bearish is for pretty much max until March. And then April, May, June, we should be having very, very nice pumps, at least some type of pullbacks to the upside. And then July, August, September is when we should start expanding. Okay. It's when we should start expanding. I am still not super worried. I would be worried if I see certain other red flags. As of right now, I'm okay, right? We could be in a point where we are kind of similar to here, where we do have some kind of one more expansion. That is why I say, we might not get the craziest altcoin season, because if March and February were the months where we go down and go sideways a little bit, April, May, June is some type of recovery. July, August, September is a pump. We can start seeing the tops of altcoins somewhere around that time, and then possibly a little bit in quarter 4, where we go up for, let's say, another month, a month and a half, and then we start crashing, kind of similar to what we had last time, where we peaked kind of in November, right? And if that's the case, this would all make sense, right? Um, if we go on the 6 month candle, this is still technically like the 3 month candle, because we only have data for January and February, but things don't look bad, right? In terms of market structure, things don't look bad. It's kind of a similar boat to what we have over here. I just think it's going to happen a lot faster. Okay. I do think it's going to happen a lot faster. And I do think, we will flip this yearly candle into a green one. However, I do think there's going to be a big rejection at some point. And, in 2026, I do expect some type of crash, either right, end of 2025 or early mid maximum, really pushing it maximum 2026. So if that happens, if the plan happens like that, then I would expect, some kind of nice altcoin season. Obviously, we will adjust our game plan depending on what the market says and what the charts say. If it doesn't look good over the next few months and it looks very, very weak, and then we have one final pump, then I would be expecting to, exit my positions depending on the obviously other charts. The reason why I also say this is because when we look at Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, right, we are technically creating a higher high and higher lows, right? However, we do have to consider that we could be in a very, very similar position as this one over here, right? If I just take this arrow, we could be in a very similar position where we had some kind of expansion, and then now we have some kind of retracement, and then we can see the next few months on this, the next 6 months, they tried expanding. They did, right? We can see in October, November time, we did peak, but we had very weak candle rejections, and then obviously bear season happened. So we are going to be looking out for that, right? If we get something similar, if price action is going to be weak for Bitcoin over the next few months, then I would expect some kind of top like this for this whole thing to finish, right? We go down, we do whatever. Either we come back to areas like this, or a little bit higher, and then we sell off, right? And then we have a whole cycle again, and then maybe next time we will hit 200K. We would have to see. We would have to monitor things. Obviously, this is only one metric for me. I just like looking at the charts in the moment to know, okay, is this it? Is this not it? And etc. Historically, the data suggests that we should still be pumping. That altcoin season is still around the corner. We still have this beautiful chart over here of the dominance for altcoins. For me, this is just about to start popping off in the next couple of days, right? We had the zone marked up exactly where we want to go. We have a breakout structure. I believe we are retesting to at least go back up to 9.5, upwards of 10%. And if that's going to be the case, we would be breaking structure. We would start going to the upside, especially if we start retesting off of this area, kind of just like the way we are right now. It's exactly what I'm talking about. So we'll continue to monitor things, right? I think at the minimum, worst case scenario, we should go up to 18% dominance, right? I could see us going up even higher depending on the timings of the market, right? If we do peak, the September, October time, we could go upwards of 24%. And that means we would still have a great altcoin season. Maybe not, Render being $120, ICP being $200, Caspa being $3, but we would still get very great prices. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.